Let me ask you this. This is changing the subject a little bit, but do you consider yourself a snowboarder or a skateboarder?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. I know you're a skateboarder.
See, I wasn't gonna go there yet.
I know, but it's just different phases. I grew up a
Okay.
skateboarder
Yeah.
until I could afford my first snowboard.
Yeah.
Got my first snowboard, and it was we could do it during the winter. So then you're kind of a both,
Yeah.
you
We
know.
don't have winter down here, so
Well, I know, but see, then you start to identify
yeah.
as a snowboarder
Yeah.
because that's the group that you're with, and it took us out west. And even though everyone was skateboarding, there were there were skateboarders.
Yeah.
It was a different deal, and
Okay.
I was always careful not to cross those wires because there was a time where I was a skateboarder. That was
Mhm.
it. I read the mags, I read the stuff, I had t-shirts and the goodies. But I would probably say a snowboarder
Okay.
because then it turned into a job and it turned into my friend group,
Right.
and where we ran into it in a really interesting way was when I worked for my first job at Snowboarder magazine on the beach down in Southern California. And across the hall was Skateboarder magazine. These are different worlds.
Yeah.
They're different worlds, even though we knew about that. I knew the
Mhm.
names, I knew the stuff. I remember when I worked at Nixon Watches, one of the main dogs there, this dude, Chad Denetta.
Mm.
Denetta would like quiz me and say, who was so and so on this team? And I'd say, oh, that was so and so. I knew all these
Yeah.
names as a kid because I read the mags and I studied that shit and I watched the videos and I did the stuff. Um, but I will say, when we came west, we were kind of more snowboarders.
Yeah.
We spent the majority of our year from October until shit, even into the spring, May sometimes,
Yeah. It
being
makes sense.
snowboarders. So,
Well, the reason I ask, I think that for me, I think that skating has really informed my approach to life, like work. Like and I'm sure I've never even been snowboarding.
hmm,
But I imagine they're the same people down deep in that it's this tenacity
yeah,
to keep trying the same thing over and over and failing and failing and failing and failing and then
yeah,
finally getting it right. And it's party time.
yeah. I mean, the power of these videos you see where a kid tries it 150 times to land some
Yeah.
dingleberry flip, you know,
Yeah.
there's a blueprint there that you could apply to the rest of your life. So, you know,
100%.
I remember getting frustrated. I remember rolling the shit out of my ankle. I've
Mhm.
always been a big, thick guy. And, slamming when you're 220 in 1991 versus your buddy who's 141, you put him on a hook and you cast him out and you catch something actually, realistic. Um, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
And, um, which is now shit, man, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
you know, and yet, right, tenacity. There is something there that is pretty interesting because I don't know how to say it. It's like it's easy to shit on the jocks
Mhm.
because they were as forgettable as whatever.
Right.
But do you still apply? I still apply my tenacity to be at what I do.
Mhm.
You know, I'm gonna hear I go just shitting on the jocks, but fuck them. We listened to better bands than us growing up.
Yeah, we did.
And then we did cooler things. So look at your back wall. That is cooler than the guy who was peaked in '91 or
Yeah,
whatever.
really.
Dropped the ball or caught the ball or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So you know, I always see a lot of heartbreak in that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
like, first of all, who cares who's the best? That's what skateboarding taught me.
Yep.
Who cares who's? That's why I'll never understand. Like, I will say, a couple years ago when I heard that skateboarding was going to be in the Olympics, I couldn't be any less interested. I
Yeah.
care less
It seemed weird.
because what it taught me, skateboarding, not even that punk rockery,
Mhm.
indie rockery, heavy metalism, be together, be creative, be with your friends, watch out for each other, be honorable. Someone
Yep.
gets messed with, stand up for them, but it's sort of like, to see that, that came from skateboarding, the license to be whatever you wanted to be. I've been listening and watching a lot of old Fugazi footage,
Oh, yeah.
which, I love those records,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but I their philosophy was very ahead of its time
Mhm.
for a bunch of knucklehead skateboarder people. Um, and there's a lot to glean from that. The idea of being humble, the idea of being fair to every kind of person in the world, the idea of understanding your footprint on the land,
Yeah.
your footprint on stolen land, your footprint, how you conduct yourself. I mean, it's so
Mhm.
I've been watching these things because they probably should have shown that to some jocks too.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
so. Mhm.
and you know, you know, I've never had a hard time with any sort of equality issues around me because I was told as a young kid, women have the exact same rights as you do.
Right.
How dare you challenge that? You
Mhm.
protect your gay friends, you protect your other friends, you protect you because where do we see that?
Right.
Ian Mackay. And yet some of my asshole buddies I grew up with, they need to go do a little bit of college with Ian Mackay because they have strayed from the
Yeah.
from things. But hey, whatever. Um, so I just look at like that identity of like I'm really thankful that skateboarding was a kind of a safe little way to express yourself.
Yeah. It's
And it was
beautiful.
dangerous sometimes too.
I was gonna say that earlier, that all that and there was a sense of danger.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Well,
like
guys used to jump fences, and I wasn't one of them because I cut the fuck out of my hand one
right,
time.
right, right.
Cut my, I was coming over the thing, slice. I had my backpack, my skateboard. I mean, I took my
Yeah,
skateboard every day to school.
yeah.
When you would skate as far as you could, and you weren't allowed to skate on the grounds, and
Right,
we would
right.
walk our board to the. Here's a fun little hack. If anyone is in uh, their senior year listening to this shit, you know, well, I had a buddy one time in my sixth hour or whatever
Mhm.
it was, last hour of the day. Bump, bump, bump on the door. He walks in with this little piece of paper and he looks and he says, I need to have an Aaron Draplin, says my name wrong. Aaron Draplin, come to the office. Probably grab your bags because, and my teacher, Mr. Bria, says, you know, Aaron, grab your bag. We'll just see you tomorrow, right? And it's my buddy. And I, walk out the thing and I get to the hall. I go, what are you doing? He goes, let's grab your skate. Let's go skate.